This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So we know how to create a resource group. We just know to create a resource group, but still there are more settings that we need to understand under that. We will see a few settings under the resource group. And I can see there are a couple of resource groups which we have created yesterday. And also based on the usernames that I've shared to you to practice on your subscription. Right. So if I want to see the activity logs for the entire subscription, so we know how to see activity logs for each and every resource group, and by clicking on that resource group, you can choose this section. But if you want to see the entire subscription level activity logs, okay, I can directly go here and search for activity log, and in the last 24 hours, I can see the configurations or any changes that has been done for this resource group. So I can see there is one user, which is user AB, has done this resource group creation and then deleted as well. So I can track at subscription level also. It is not only at resource group level. I can validate all the activities from subscription level as well using the same option, activity log. Okay. So for that, you have to come here and just search for activity log from the home page. So now let's go back to this resource group settings. So here we have discussed activity log and we have seen the options like how to filter and how to filter based on the usernames. Okay. So the next option we have here is access control. In order to give access to any of the users at resource group level or at subscription level, we are going to use this access control. So access control, which we call it as IAM, you can call it as like IAM means identity and access management. So when you have hundreds of users that are working on your Azure platform, all the users will not have the similar level of permissions. Okay. So if you want to control the users based on and based on the work that they do and based on the policies that you have in your organization, you are going to use this access control to enable access to this specific resource group. Or, sorry, what's happening? So someone is trying to connect and disconnect. I'm getting that disturbance. So access control is key for any organization to manage the resources, whether it is at subscription level or at resource group level. So when we were discussing yesterday, as I told you, like you have got, so you have got application. Let's say this is something like XYZ application, and you want to give access to and for this application, you have created a resource group. Okay, you want to give access to the team, whoever is working on this application, or let's say XYZ is a project, whatever you call. So you want to enable access to these users. Who is that guy? Sorry. So you want to give access to all the users. So it means, let's say for a couple of people, you want to enable just read only permissions, okay, to the resource group. and you want to give for some users with some sort of admin permissions, or you can call it as contributor permissions. Okay, and for some users you have to give owner permissions. So there will be a hierarchy for each and every user. It means for each and every permission that you want, you can go ahead and apply the role on the resource group level, and similarly you can apply it subscription level as well. So if you want to apply such kind of roles at resource group level, we have this concept, access control. So even though you have access to subscription, it doesn't mean that you have access to all the resources in your subscription. It is all fully controlled because of various reasons, be it compliance and the policies that you have in your organization. Okay, so that is mainly with regards to security policies, so which we have to uh, follow. Okay, so in this case we are going to use this access control, and here we have an option, role assignments. At the moment there are already 13 users who has got permissions into this resource group. You can see all of the users, usernames, user A, user AB, user D, which I have created yesterday, and all of these are inherited from the subscription. It means these guys are the contributor permission, or having contributor permissions at subscription level. They have got inheritance. It means let's ignore about subscription level permissions. So let me focus on this roles. Okay, so now let's focus only on this resource group level. If you want to enable permission to any other user, these are the various types of roles which are inbuilt, which you can use for your applications or for your resource groups. Let's say owner is the role which is the topmost role which you can enable for any of your admins. However, there is a slight difference between owner and contributor. It means owner will have, you can see the description also. So it is difficult to remember all of these roles which is there listed here. At least try to understand uh, the major uh, like market or real-time environment roles where any most of the customers are using, right? You can consider owner, contributor, and reader. These are the major roles that you will see in the enterprise. So now, if you give owner role to any of the user, it means that specific user will have a full permissions. Okay, so Raghu, this, I mean, I did not cover much, so I'm just showing this activity logs, which we have already discussed, and now I'm focusing on this access control. So this is mainly with regards to the resource group level permissions. If you want to enable permissions to any of the users, we are going to use this access control under the resource group. So it means not only at resource group level, you can also apply the similar set of settings at subscription level also, but we will see in next level to enable permissions at subscription level, because with the user accounts which I have shared, you don't have permissions to enable at subscription level, right? So now I was discussing about the roles to enable here. So the first level here is owner. So being the owner, he can access all the resources in the subscription, and also this guy can give access to other users also. Okay, so most of the cases only one or two owners will be there in your enterprise subscription, maximum a team of cloud administrators. Not everyone will have this owner role. Okay, you should be very careful when you are assigning owner permissions to any of the users. And the next level we have here is contributor. So with this contributor role, you have full control on all the resources, but you cannot give access to any other users. Okay, so this is the role that I've given to you to practice as part of your labs. Okay, you can configure all the resources, you can customize everything, but wherever there is a role that wherever there is a permissions that you want to enable it for another user, it is not possible. Okay, so this is one level. And the next thing is reader role. I'm not going to explain each and every role, but we will see the major roles that are required for the business. So a reader role. So with this reader role, you can just see all the resources, but you cannot make any changes for that resource group or at subscription level. So these are the three roles that I mentioned, which is widely used across the enterprise subscriptions. And still, there are hundreds of built-in roles. You can see here, the type of this role is built-in. Okay. Let's say you want a exclusive role for the virtual machine management. So you can type here virtual machine and you can find a role for virtual machine administrator. So it means this guy can manage only that specific virtual machine. He cannot do any other settings apart from virtual machine configuration changes. Okay. So you still there are some options for your virtual machine management also, and you can see here. Okay, let me expand this one. Yeah, the first one is virtual machine administrator login. So with this role, he can see the list of virtual machines available in the portal. And if I enable permissions as a virtual machine contributor for a specific user, so he can do all this. So no need to remember, and it is difficult to remember because it has got multiple roles. So go with the requirement and try to search for the roles in this resource group level, or even if you can go through Microsoft official documentation to see the list of roles which you can apply for any of the users. I'll show how to enable that assignments as well. I mean, how to enable that roles as well, so that it will be clear for you. Now, let's say you have got storage. So you want to enable some sort of permissions at storage level only. So I'll search here for storage. Okay, you can see here storage account contributor and storage account backup contributor. So there are different types of roles which you need to know. If you're specifically working on storage, then your team or the team of people whoever is working on this storage needs access to storage only. They don't want to go for any other configuration changes for other services. Okay, so you should be very careful when you're assigning any type of roles to any of the users other than admins. Okay, so there are multiple roles within the storage itself, but once we discuss about the storage concepts, then you'll be able to understand these roles as well. So under since we are discussing this resource group settings, you are seeing multiple roles because in one resource group, you can have storage, you can have virtual machine, you can have web apps. In one resource group, you can have all of these settings. I mean, all of these services. So that's the reason you are seeing all the roles which are relevant to all of Azure services under resource group settings. When we discuss exclusively about storage, you will see only storage specific roles. Okay, so don't get confused. There are hundreds of roles. You can see here there are 341 built-in roles. Okay, which you can leverage for your access control management for your organization. Now, how to assign a role, right? So here we have an option. Click on add, and uh, there is an option called add role assignment. In addition to this, we have also got two other options like add co-administrator and add custom role. So first we'll go through this add role assignment. So let's say I want to give a reader permission to one of the user. So I'm choosing this reader role. Just select this. You can't select multiple roles at a time. So you have to choose one at a time. Choose this role and then next. So you have to select the members that you want to enable permissions as a reader. So the first option we have here is a reader, and the next one is select members. So this option should be enabled, user, group, or service principal. And this manage entity is Azure Active Directory concept, which we are going to see almost at the end of our sessions. Okay, so let's focus only on this step. Select members. So let's say you have got a distribution list, or you have got a security group that you want to enable access to specific users. See here, you are a guest user in this directory. You can search for users by their exact sign in, but you cannot search for groups or applications, and you cannot browse. So I am not a super admin here for this subscription. So, but still, we'll try. I think I am the owner or contributor. I don't know. Let's see. I want to enable permissions to one of the user. Let's say uh, user A, and find the user here. If you have a security groups that you want to enable permissions, yes, you have to create that groups. And again, don't ask me how to create. We are going to discuss at next level. Okay, so these are the users which I have already in this subscription, which I have created for your access. So I'm using that one only. So let's say user A here and select. You can add multiple users at a time. Okay, before you save, let's say user K, and I can see here, and you can type for one more user like this. You can add multiple members or multiple users together and select, right? So now I have to go with review and assign, or you can, if you look at next option, you can see here the scope of the permissions that you are enabling. So you are enabling a reader permission, and for this resource group. So these users will not have full control on this resource group because I'm just going with this reader role. Review and assign, and you can see 3 role assignments were added as reader for pre-prod. Similarly, you can apply, and you can see all the roles which we have assigned here, role assignments, and now you can see earlier 13, now it is 16. Okay, and so role wise we can see the list of users. So for this user A, B, and user K, you can see that it is reader, and for me it is showing as owner, and for some other users who are already having uh, inheritance from the subscription level, they are already contributors. So you can see that user A has got contributor rights, user AB has got contributor rights, but on top of that still I have added user A and user AB. It means these 3 members will have both reader plus contributor permissions. It means the topmost role here is contributor, and this will precede this reader role. So it means even though these guys are having a reader role, but still contributor role will take a lead, and those users can do any changes on that resource group because they are the contributors. So if you want to restrict only as a reader, then you have to do settings differently. Okay, so that will be discussed at advanced level. Now let's focus only on resource group level settings. That's what I mentioned earlier as well. Okay, any question here before I move?
No, it means it takes always the highest value of the
Exactly, yeah,
columns.
right.
Okay. And as a being user, can I see what are all the rights that I have? I mean, like what are all the permissions that I have in my
Yes,
account?
you can see that. So using this option like check access. So once you log into your subscription and go to any resource group, and you can see that view my access, and it will display here your user ID. Because if you have got hundreds of users in your subscription, then in that case it will be difficult for you to filter it out. So now if you see here view my access, I am a owner here. If you try with your login, you will see as a contributor and as well as a reader role. Okay,
Exactly. Exactly. I've got it. I can see that.
yeah,
Okay.
who's that? Abdul. Okay, right. So under this role assignments, you can see number of users that are having access to this resource group using this role assignments, and you can see based on the roles. Now if you look at the number of roles here, you have 341 built-in roles. Now let's say I have a requirement that I want to merge some permissions from contributor and some permissions from a reader. It means I want to build my custom role. So in order to deploy a custom role, yes, it is possible, because every time a reader role will not work. So I want some permissions from reader and some permissions from contributor. So in such cases, you can go ahead and create a custom role. Okay. So before we go through that creation of custom role, let's see deny assignments. At this moment, there are no denied users. So after enabling access, still you can block permissions for those users, and that will be displayed here in this section. Okay. And if you want to download all of the roles that you wanted to track, or any of your security team wants to see the permissions that are enabled from this specific resource group, you have to download, or you have to use this option and give it to them, right? So similarly, you can copy paste. That is a simple thing that you can do. So here I have given usernames, always usernames, but in the enterprise subscriptions, you are not going to use usernames standalone. You are going to use security groups, because uh, which will be easy to manage. Let's say I have got 100 members in my team. Every time I want to give permission, I cannot go and add one by one together here using add role. That will take a lot of time. So instead, I can go ahead and create one security group and add all the users into that group. That is a one-time job. And then I can apply a role here using this settings. So the number of role assignments for one subscription. So you can do up to 2000 role assignments. It means if you have 2000 users, if you give uh, all the users one by one without having a security group, and this will get consumed easily. So this is also one drawback. Microsoft is working to increase this, but now it is 4000. It seems they have increased already, but it is not applicable for some trial subscriptions. So to meet this limitation, you have to always use security groups, and you have to always enable permissions across the subscription and depends on the resource group, and you have to plan all these things well in advance. Okay, so now here you have an option add co-administrator, and which you can see the option here. Co-administrators can only be added at subscription level, which means if I add a co-administrator, then that specific person will be a owner for the subscription because I am adding it as a co-administrator. And so generally, this will be applicable only for Azure administrator who are leading the subscriptions, right? So instead of going through this co-administrator, I'll go through this custom rule. So as I said, sometimes I want a mixed permissions, some rules from reader and some permissions from contributor. I want to mix both of those and then give uh, a custom role. So I'm going to create, let's say, I will say my own role one. You can give any name, okay? Or let's say your application role, whatever that you want, you can give. Do you want to clone a role or do you want to start from scratch? So if I go with start from scratch, and you can see permissions option and add permissions, it will display different types of permissions. Like let's say you want permissions only for managing a virtual machine, you can choose virtual machine here and apply permissions. So, but this is a kind of confusion process which I don't prefer in order to enable custom roles. Once you have all the concepts clear, then you can go ahead and proceed with this. So for now, I'm going with this clone a role. I'm going to clone existing roles. See here, I can use reader role and you can use contributor role. I'm going to clone contributor role, review and create. Description is not provided, which is fine. And see here, permissions, authorization, delete, write, everything is there here. And okay, let me repeat because it has moved to the final step within a single click. So role to clone, contributor, next. And here you have got permissions because I have cloned a contributor role, and you can see that what a contributor can do. Even though he's a contributor, I am removing this permission, delete permission, because if he or she deletes accidentally, that is going to have a business impact. So I am deleting that specific delete option. Even though he's a contributor, still he cannot delete. But normal contributor can delete, can configure anything, right? I've deleted that and I'll go ahead and configure. So this scope of this permission is at pre-prod HR department resource group level. You can add multiple scopes as well. Where after creating this custom role, you can assign this role to any other resource group also. That is also possible. Okay, next, and here it is. So the beauty in Azure is whatever you create in this uh, graphical format, what we are here, using here is a portal, which is a graphical user interface. Whatever you create, it will be converted into a JSON format, which is like JavaScript object notations. So it means you can download this script, and if you want to use this automated in next level of configurations, you can use the script and apply it. But for now, we are not focusing on this JSON scripts. Okay, so whatever the settings you do, there will be a scripts which you can use it for your requirements. So I'm not going to use this one at this stage. Next, and this is the role name, and now create. All right, you can see that you have successfully created a custom role. Okay, now I want to apply a custom role to the user. So you can come back here under this role section, and you can filter it by just clicking on this category. It will display multiple categories, but here we have got uh, not here. Let's see here in this section. Yeah, custom role. So filter only custom role here. Click on this, and you can see my own role, which we have created just now, is available to assign. Okay, so click on this, but not here. Add role assignment, and filter it here using this option. Select next, and you can see that, and we know what kind of permission this user, I mean this role has got. Okay, select members as usual, user E, and select review and assign. Okay, this role is getting assigned. So this is how we have to create custom role. So any question here? Is it clear? Okay, just give me a second. Right, so that's the method to assign a role, and we've discussed about the custom role as well. So which is very much required for any of the enterprise subscription to enable access and to manage your users across the subscription. Okay, so you will see this similar setting in almost all the resources that we are going to configure. I'm not going to repeat again and again, but we will see in a high level, because the same settings you will see under storage account, under virtual machine, under different other settings, right? So no need to discuss all those again and again. So that's why I'm going deep here. All right. So classic administrators at this stage, like if you consider classic administrator, this guy is having full permissions. So which is a kind of owner of the subscription, right? So if you want to see any of, let's say you are specifically working on backup, you can go for this backup contributor. If you are looking for disk backup contributor or reader, you can go for the snapshot contributor. Yes, there are specific rules for that, each and every service. Right. So if no questions here under this access control, I'll move on to logs. So there are some settings uh, which we are going to cover at next level, because it's not the time and I don't want to confuse you by covering these concepts. So whatever I'm covering, just practice only those. So we are going to see these topics at later stages. Okay, just to avoid confusion only at this stage, because still we are at the beginning phase. I don't want to confuse by going through all these settings. which is irrelevant at this stage. Right. So let me go to logs directly here under this resource group itself. Now, though you have controlled your resource groups and you have enabled access across the resource groups and subscription using access control, but still this resource log option is also very useful to restrict your users to accidentally delete any of your resource groups or to avoid configuration changes in critical applications or services. So, in order to achieve that, along with this access control, this is also one type of security permission, I would say, but it is not at user level and it is not at a kind of owner or contributor type of thing. It is a role, I mean, it is a lock which you are going to enable on the resource group. It means once you lock it, no one can break it until unless they are the admins. We have got read only lock and delete lock. If I apply this delete lock, just like uh, in your home, right? If you lock your home, no one can enter into your home and no one can steal the things from your home because it is locked until unless you are the owner of the home and your friend has got another key, they can open the key and enter. Of course, breaking the lock and all that is a different story. We are going with this delete lock and read only lock here in Azure. If you apply delete lock, okay, you can't delete that specific resource, whether it is a resource or resource group. You can't delete the resource or resource group, but you can modify the settings. Okay. If I apply read only lock, you can't delete and you can't do any, you can't modify any configuration of that resource. Okay, I'm just writing simple terms here. And let's try to apply these locks and we'll see whether we'll be able to delete or not. So I'm going to apply delete lock first. Here, click on add and you can see here, these are the two options that we have. Let's go with delete lock and I'm just giving the lock name as don't delete. If you give any symbols like this, it's not going to take. Okay, you can apply only underscores, hyphens and parentheses. Okay, so let's go with this and okay, now the lock has been applied. Refresh. Even though I am the owner of the subscription or all of you are having contributor permissions, still I can come back here and let's try to delete this resource group. It's going to show error and see here, this resource group is locked and can't be deleted. If it is locked, it can't be deleted. Whether it is read only or a delete lock, whatever it is, you can't delete. And you have to break the lock to delete this resource group. So which is very crucial for the critical business applications in your enterprise. To avoid this kind of accidental deletions, you can apply these locks. Okay. So in order to apply a lock, you have to come back here in the lock section. And in order to break this lock, you can go for this delete lock. Just click on this delete. Now there are no locks. Let's try to delete now. Delete and delete. So there is no option, I mean, there is no error even when we are trying to delete this one. Okay, it will be deleted in few seconds, which will be notified in this notification section. Let it go, refresh, we will see that notification. So similarly, you can apply this read-only lock, and I'm using another resource group here, resource group. Since we don't have any resources under this resource group, we can delete and configure anything. So let's do this read-only lock. Now let me try to delete this resource group. You have to give confirmation. So I'm copying this one, delete, and click on this, delete. See here, even with read-only also, you cannot delete. The only thing that you can do is with read-only lock, you can just read the data. You cannot even modify any settings under this. And you can see the notification, the other one, a pre-prod resource group has been deleted after removing the lock. And you can see the notification here. For the first time, when we delete after applying the lock, it has got failed. Now after breaking the lock, it has got deleted, right? So these are very crucial, the critical applications which you wanted to uh, apply, and it all depends on enterprise to enterprise. So most of the cases they will apply, especially in the banking industry, whoever is on cloud, they are going to use all of the security features to safeguard their applications and resources for their business, right? If anything goes wrong, that will be having a huge impact. So they're going to apply all of this type of permissions to secure their networks. Okay, so there will be a kind of interview questions as well. Okay, what type of logs those are direct questions. Okay, what kind of logs that you have in Azure? So what is the difference between delete log and read only log? So when I say interview questions, please make a note, that will be useful for you. And uh, when it comes to scenario based questions, let's say I've got full permissions and I'm trying to create a resource under that resource group, it is not allowing me to configure anything even though I'm the owner. Okay, so you have to analyze what might be the reason. So logs could be the reason, or policies, which we are yet to discuss. If there are any policies that are applied, that will also cause similar kind of issue, so which we will see at later stages, right? And let's say, like, the questions will be in different stages, different phases based on your experience. So if it is a direct question which you can ask, I mean, you can answer easily, what is read only lock and what is delete lock? Or if you get a question like what are the different types of locks, okay, you can answer it. Now I have a let's say I'm a contributor. This is a question that I'm asking, just kind of interview based kind of thing. So I'm a contributor and I've got 10 new members join into my team. So I wanted to enable permissions for all the other 10 users who are new to the organization. When I'm trying to do that, it is not giving me option, or it is not allowing me to do or to enable permissions for those 10 users. So what could be the reason, right? So I'm not going to reveal, as an interviewer, I'm not going to reveal the error, right? So you have to see the error, or I have given answer itself in the question. I mentioned I'm a contributor. As a contributor, you cannot give permissions to other users. You should be owner of the subscription. Then only you can enable permissions to any other users. So the such kind of tricky questions will be there. So you will be able to understand only when you practice these concepts, right? At least try to remember one, two, three roles: owner, contributor, and reader. Okay, when you see contributor, that guy will have full permissions, but he cannot give access to any other users, right? So wherever you see, let's say, virtual machine contributor, it means he will have full permissions on virtual machine, and he cannot use uh, any other services, and he cannot manage any other users, right? So you should be in a position to handle any type of question on this access control logs, and also the activity logs. Let's say I want to see the data beyond 9 months, but Azure says I'm available only for 90 days. So what are you going to do to get the data which is uh, older than 90 days, right? So you have to think differently. Of course, in order to get it in uh, at that specific point, there is no option. However, if you have planned to save that data in the form of CSV files, or if you have exported all of these activity logs into a different storage, then there will be an option to see the data beyond 90 days as well. Okay, so we have discussed this one yesterday, but I'm just giving a heads up like how the questions will be. Okay, any question here?
ఈ లాక్స్ అర్థమైతలేదన్న ఏమర్థం
ఏంటిది?
ఎందుకు రియల్ టైమ్ లో ఎందుకు యూజ్ చేస్తారన్న లాక్స్?
ఓకే, ఈ యాక్సెస్ కంట్రోల్ ఎందుకు యూస్ చేస్తాం?
ఈ యాక్సెస్ కంట్రోల్ అది యూజర్ లెవెల్ కదా, అంటే ఇది సబ్స్క్రిప్షన్
కరెక్ట్,
లెవెలా?
కరెక్ట్. నో నో, యూజర్ లెవెలే, బట్ లా సరే ఇప్పుడు నేను నీకు ఫుల్ పర్మిషన్ ఇచ్చాను కంట్రిబ్యూటర్. ఇట్
ఓకే.
మీన్స్ యూ కెన్ డిలీట్, క్రియేట్ ఎనీథింగ్ ఎక్సెప్ట్ వేరే వాళ్ళకి యాక్సెస్ ఇవ్వడానికి కాకుండా మిగతా అన్ని చేయొచ్చు. సో నా భయం ఏంటి, నీకు ఫుల్ పర్మిషన్ ఉంది, నువ్వు తెలుసో తెలియకో డిలీట్ చేసావు, అప్పుడు ఏంటి పరిస్థితి?
ఇట్స్ ప్రాబ్లం.
అంటే ఏంటి, వన్స్ ఐ డిలీట్ దిస్ రిసోర్స్ గ్రూప్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇర్రివర్సిబుల్, యు నో దట్. నౌ అట్లాంటి సిచ్యుయేషన్స్ ని అవాయిడ్ చేయడానికి ఈ లాక్స్ ఎనేబుల్ చేస్తారనమాట.
ఓకే. బట్ సెల్ఫ్
ఓకే,
అంటే మిస్టేక్స్ ని అవాయిడ్ చేయడానికి.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ, టు అవాయిడ్ such kind of accidental deletions or any other configuration changes on the especially production resources, right? అక్కడ లాక్స్ అప్లై చేస్తారనమాట.
అదే యాక్చువల్‌గా ఇక్కడ కన్‌ఫ్యూజింగ్ ఏమంటే we need to assign lock by ourselves and we can delete by ourselves. So that's something, which is separate from, which is different from IAM.
నో నో
కదా?
నో నో, ఓకే, నో నో, సి, యూ కెనాట్ అప్లై యాజ్ అ కంట్రిబ్యూటర్. మీ సబ్స్క్రిప్షన్ లో నేను ఇచ్చాను కదా, ట్రై చేయండి, మీరు అప్లై చేయగలుగుతారేమో లాక్. ఓన్లీ ఓనర్ కెన్ అప్లై ఎ లాక్.
ఓకే. ఓకే. సో
ఓకే,
ఇట్స్
ఎందుకంటే
సఫిషియంట్.
ఐ మీన్ చెప్పినట్టు ఇప్పుడు నువ్వే చేసుకుని నువ్వే డిలీట్ చేసుకుంటే ఇంకా ఆప్షన్ ఏముంది? అది డిలీట్ చేసి ఇది డిలీట్ చేస్తావు.
నాకు అదే అర్థమైతలే. సరే.
నువ్వే డిలీట్ చేసుకుని ఆ లాక్ డిలీట్ చేసుకుంటావు, ఇది డిలీట్ చేస్తావు, మొత్తం పోతుంది.
You don't have permissions to edit logs. నాకు వస్తుంది అది.
యా,
Yeah, that's got it. But again,
బట్
IAM is not on subscription level కదా? It's completely on RG level.
నో నో, ఐఏఎం సేమ్ సెట్టింగ్స్ ఆర్ దేర్ అట్ సబ్స్క్రిప్షన్ లెవెల్ యాజ్ వెల్, బట్ నేను ఇప్పుడు కవర్ చేసింది ఓన్లీ రిసోర్స్ గ్రూప్ లెవెలే.
ఓకే. ఓకే.
సబ్స్క్రిప్షన్ లెవెల్లో కొద్దిగా డిఫరెన్స్ ఉంటుంది, బట్ ఆప్షన్స్ అన్ని సిమిలర్ గానే ఉంటాయి. సో ఇప్పుడు నేను
ఓకే.
అది చెప్పి కన్ఫ్యూజ్ చేయదలుచుకోలేదు.
అర్థమైంది. అర్థమైంది. సరే. విల్ గో వన్ బై వన్. I
యా,
got it అన్న.
ఓకే, యా, ఫర్ యువర్ ల్యాబ్స్ ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు ప్రాక్టీస్ దిస్ లాక్స్, ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ అవైలబుల్ ఫర్ యువర్ role, because
No, I've
you
got
have
one free account Anna, for myself. Can
you
I
can
can
do
do that?
that. You can do whatever that you have. If you have your own account, you can play with it.
Another one account create చేసినాను.
Yeah, I mean, for
And
the account which I have given, it's not going to work.
yeah, it's not possible. I got it.
Yeah, right. Any other questions? Right. So just give me a minute. I will log in to enterprise subscription.